Hello everyone. In this video I will show you how to install the MESA evolution code. As you probably know at this point, MESA is very new, very nice stellar evolution code with very wide applicability, with great capabilities. But the thing is, the installation of the code is very straightforward, it's very simple, but there's a lot of complaints on the MESA user group that people got problems with installation. And it's hard to say why that's the case, but I will show you how easy the installation is just right now. So let's start with getting to the MESA's main internet page. So this is mesasourceforge.net, and you can see here a lot of information about the code. So you can read what MESA is, you can see code capabilities, and by the way, you are very recommended to get to this section and to read, or at least to browse, the instrumental paper of the code, because there are a lot of useful information how the code works, what's the code capabilities are, and so on and so on. So you should do it definitely. Okay, so the other thing is, if you are ready to get started, get to the prereqs and installation section, and you can see here a couple of interesting information here. So first of all, the one thing you should do is you should subscribe to the MESA users mailing list. This is very nice thing to do. There are a lot of advantages. There are a lot of informations. You can learn a lot from the list. You can post your problems there, and there are a lot of friendly and knowledgeable people there willing to help you. Yeah, let's say it's that way. So click on the MESA users mailing list and just subscribe here. So yeah, fill those fields and click subscribe, and you're ready to go. So there is a rather hefty number of mails coming through from that users group daily. So if there is some hot discussion, so be prepared for some like dozen or more emails daily. But there are some empty days where you get nothing, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, so if you're ready with this, you can proceed to the hardware requirements of the MESA. So there, basically what you need is Mac or Linux operating system, and it's 64-bit operating system on 64-bit architecture. So this is very important. So only those two systems. Windows is entirely unsupported, which is rather unfortunate, but that's how it works right now, and probably won't change. So 64-bit processor is required. 4 GB of memory are. This is the minimum. So you would definitely like to have more. So I would say go with 8, at least 8. It also depends on what you do. But yeah, let's say 8 is really the minimum. And 10 GB of free disk space. And this is also a very minimalistic approach to that problem, because this is for the installation itself. The thing is that depends highly on what you want to do with the code. But some projects can be really disk consuming, so be prepared for that, and it depends on what you do, but you would probably like to have a lot of free disk space just to use MESA later on. Okay, so if your computer fulfills the requirements, you can proceed to the next step, and this is the installation of the MESA SDK. And to install the SDK, you can get to the SDK website, which will target you to the Rich Townsend Modstar website and so on. And this is the SDK. This is the software development kit, which contains a lot of things that are necessary for MESA to run properly. The SDK is maintained and developed by the Rich Townsend, so that's a big credit for him. Without that, the installation would be really painful. And the SDK contains a lot of useful things. For instance, there is very new version of GNU compiler collection. So this is especially there is especially Fortran, which is necessary for the MESA. There are BLAST libraries in US version, LAPACK, HDF5, pgplot, and so on, and a lot of different tools which are necessary. And I would say this is especially useful for the Mac users because the MESA SDK actually delivers the best version of Fortran for Mac. So this is highly recommended anyway. Okay, so the SDK's website is divided into two main sections. The first is related to the Linux, and the second is related to the OS X. As you can see, this is recorded on OS X, so I will concentrate on that particular OS, but everything I said here will be true to the Linux. And if there are differences, there will be pointed out. So let's start with Linux anyway. So there are some things that you need to have installed before you can install the SDK. And they're fairly standard, and like binutils, make Perl X11 development headers, Z compression library, C shell, and so on. And those packages are presented here just for the couple of distributions like Fedora, Ubuntu, Gentoo, and so on. And there are just names in your packaging system. So you will be able to find all of those in your distribution without any problems. If you get problems with finding some of those packages, just Google it. It may appear with different name in your distribution, but I'm pretty sure that it's there because these tools are very basic. Okay, so if you got those things covered, proceed to the download section and click to the 64-bit if you're on Linux. You can get the archive. You're interested in the current version. Sometimes there is also development version, but you don't want it. This is for some testing purposes, so you want the current one. So just download it. After you have it downloaded, just extract it with this command here to the place where you want it. And then we will continue with the macOS section because from that point there is no difference. So if you're on OS X, you have also some prerequisites for the SDKs. So the first thing is, of course, you need OS X 10.6.8 at least. And you need two things. So you need the X windowing package, which can be found. This is the X Quartz project. So let's find it. X11 OS X. Okay, so there it is. It's xquartz.macosforge.org, and just download the latest stable release. So this is the standard DMG package, so it will be very easy to install. And the second thing you need is the command line tools for Xcode. On the SDK, it is written that you will need Xcode, but this is not necessarily true. So the thing is like that. If you got OS 10, 10.6 up to 10.8, so Snow Leopard up to what was that? Mountain Lion. You will probably want to install Xcode, but this is the pretty big package. So get to the App Store, type Xcode, and here we go. But it's pretty huge. It's over 2 gigabytes to download. And if you got Xcode installed, you can get to the preferences and install the command lines from there. It is possible to install the command lines without Xcode, but this is not recommended. You need the Apple developer account, so this is the straightforward way. Just proceed the SDK's website procedure, get the Xcode, install the command line tools for the preferences. But if you want to avoid that, just upgrade to the Mavericks if you haven't done so already. Because on the Mavericks you can install the command line tools without Xcode, which is actually great. So you need the terminal for that. You need the terminal for all other that. And there is a very nice command which is Xcode select install. So if you will type it and press enter, the dialog box will appear. So you got a couple of options here. So you can install the command line tools, which I do not want to do it because I got those. Or you can get the Xcode. So just click install, and it's like 100 megabytes or something like that. So just a very small amount of disk space when you compare it to the Xcode. Okay, so if you got command line tools and the X window in package installed, you can proceed to the SDK download. So this is the same story as before. So just download the latest package, the current one. This is also a DMG image. And just install it. This is very standard procedure. So you just drag the content. After opening, you just drag the content to the application folder, and that's it. Okay, so from that point, there is no difference between Linux and OS X, like more or less no difference. So what you want to do now, you need to initialize the SDK. And here you get a choice. So you can use the standard bash bash shell, so Bourne shell, which I use, which is default on OS X. And also default on the most of Linux distribution, or you can use the C shell. And on the SDK side, there are two options. We won't cover the C shell, we will concentrate on bash. Probably if you use C shell, you don't need all the fancy guides I will give you here. Yeah, but bash is just more standard option. Okay. So time to initialize the SDK with the Bourne shell. So you need to do the export MESA SDK root, applications MESA SDK. So there is an environment variable MESA SDK root which has to be set to the folder which contains your SDK. So this is MESA SDK and applications on default on OS X. Or for the Linux, this is the MESA SDK folder to which you decompressed the SDK. So that's, if you follow those standard commands, it should be in your home directory. So export that, initialize the SDK by doing this command, and then check that SDK is properly installed by typing gfortran version, which will print the version number of gfortran. It should be something like 4.9. And if that works, it means that you're probably good with the SDK. So if it doesn't, you should consult the troubleshooting section below, but it should be alright. And yes, this troubleshooting section might be interesting for you if you encounter any errors. Okay. The one thing is that those steps, this export MESA SDK root and source MESA SDK root blah blah blah, needs to be done every time you start a terminal. So we would probably like to automate them. So there is a very simple way. You need to edit a profile file, .profile file on OS X. This is in your home directory. On Linux, it might be .profile. It might be .bashrc or bashrc or something like that. It depends on your distribution. There will be more details in the guide below. But anyway, let's assume this is the profile. So let's edit it. This is the file when you can put a lot of things. You can export the environmental variables here. So here, take a look here. So you got export MESA SDK root and export MESA SDK and source MESA SDK root blah blah blah. And that means that those commands are executed every time I start a new terminal session. So we'll go back to the profile, and now there is a time to install the MESA itself if you got SDK up and running. So go back to the MESA's web page, and here you can see the MESA release zip files, and this is, click on that, and this is the greatest thing that happened recently. Before that, now you can download the zip, an archived version of the MESA release. Before that you had to use Subversion, and that was very problematic because there were a lot of problems with connections, so it, like 50% of the time it didn't work. So this is the way how you download the MESA right now. So just click the link, click download from the SourceForge zip archives, and download the latest version. Just click here, and the download will proceed. I got it already downloaded, and so you, after downloading, just extract it to the place where you want it. So in my case, it will be in my home directory. It extracts the MESA R6596, which is the latest version. Okay, so go back to. So let's get to the Finder. Take a look at this thing. Okay. So as you can see, I got also previous version installed here, but I would with different name. So I would like to rename this, just deleting the R, just to follow my convention. And okay, so when you get it done, just get to the folder with your MESA, where your MESA is unextracted, and you can install it. And with SDK, the installation is very simple. If you're in the folder, just type install and hit enter, and the compilation will begin. It might be somehow time-consuming process, so it's like 10 minutes or so. It depends on your computer. The other thing here, so the one thing that I would like to mention here is that the installation, the way of installation that I present you here, works on your personal computer. So you can use it on your MacBook, you can use it on your Linux laptop or desktop machine. And also MESA is very usable and it scales very good on those personal computers. And also you can install it in this way on a cluster. Of course it depends on the nature of the cluster used, but I have installed it on the supercomputer in this way with Linux on it without any problems. So this is a good thing. And MESA runs great on supercomputers. Okay, so this is some time-consuming process, so let's skip to the point when it's ready. Okay, so the code has been installed right now. So you should get the message that the MESA installation was successful, something like this. And okay, so we are almost at the end of that whole procedure. So now we need to tell the system that the MESA has been installed. So how can we do it? So there is another environmental variable. So this is MESA dir, and let's set it up. So again, so we can export it manually or just point it in the MESA sourceforge.net guide, or you can set up it for the constant use with your profile files or bash rc files or something else, bash profile, whatever. Okay, so export. So this is how it should look like. So this is export MESA dir, and here the path to your MESA directory. So I got it for the previous version. So let's update it. 596. Okay. And there is another environmental variable which you should export right now, and this is OMP num threads. And that variable tells the MESA how many cores it should run, it should utilize, and how many threads it should run. So this is for the multi-threaded machines, so basically for the every machine right now. And you should set it up for the value of the cores or threads you got. So in my case, this is 8 because I got quad-core Intel processor with the hyper-threading capability. So that means that it can effectively run 8 threads at the same time. So I set it for 8. And yeah, this is a very simple thing. So let's update it here. As you can see here, I got also some other variables which are related to the MESA, but they do not have to be set up right now. They're very specific for some, like they point out to the OP monochromatic data. There might be useful at some point, but this is not something which is necessary for general use. And there are a couple of others, I guess. So this is not very necessary here. So what you have to set up is MESA dir, OMP num threads, and MESA SDK root and source MESA SDK root you should already have. So so if you made those changes here, just save it and just type source dot profile just to update your session, and you can type export to see if the variables have been exported. MESA dir 6596. So it works. So yeah, the source command just updates the terminal with the variables which are stored with the file that you use the source on. Okay, so everything should be cool right now. So let's test if it works. So get somewhere and make a copy of the work directory from the MESA catalog. So that would be MESA 6 star work. Okay, and copy it somehow, like test MESA or whatever. Get that. And as you can see, there is some basic catalog which you will have to copy every time you start a new project. And it has inlist with some parameters. Inlist project. There is not too much information here, but it should work. So just compile it. We are now just checking if it works. So run the make command, just mk. The code is now compiling. It should take a couple of seconds. Okay, it's good, no error, and just run it right now. Yeah, it looks good. It should terminate because there should be some problems, or not. It has been updated as I see. Okay, so it runs. It runs very nice. It has some PG star capabilities, just to demonstrate you. So there is an HR diagram, and there is a log temperature versus log density, central density plane, which is nice. Okay, so it should probably die at some point, but if you are bored, you can just Control X, Control C, just to kill it. Okay, so we checked that out. It works. In case it didn't work, there are some ideas you could try. So first of all, get to the SDK side, check the frequently asked questions. Maybe there will be an answer. The other thing you can do is just recheck if you've done properly every step I presented here, or which is presented on the SDK side, or the MESA installation guide. Or the other thing you can do, and this is somehow recommended by me, I can check my installation guide, which is very basic. The link is below, and there is step-by-step information what you should do to install MESA. So basically there is a written cover to what I said here in most, I would say, in better cleaned manner. So there are some options. If you tried everything and you still think that doesn't want to work for you, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, just post your problem to the MESA users group, to the mailing group. Describe it properly, and someone will probably help you. But I hope that won't be necessary, because the whole idea of those guides I prepared is just to save people on the mailing list from repeatedly reading the same stories on how the MESA installation is fault. Okay, so yeah, this is it. So if you got more questions, just you can take a comment below, write a comment below. I will try to answer if I can. Every link to the website I have used during the tutorial is presented below. And if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the tutorial, if you want more videos like that concerning MESA, please like the video, please subscribe. Thank you for your attention, and have a really nice day. Bye.